Welcome to Motivational Monday. This is Fed Razak, Senior Trading Strategist here at CMTrading. And today, I'd like to go through a step-by-step process on how to overcome adversity. So before we start, make sure to like, subscribe, and do share, especially if you find value in this particular presentation. Okay, so here it goes. Now, I've always mentioned this before, that adversity is really opportunities. Anytime we go through something of tremendous amount of friction, whatever that friction is, it's a tremendous situation for us to really look at it and to take advantage of it. Right when the world looks like it's at its greatest disaster, your relationship is at the greatest disaster, your finances, your business, right then, if you're able to hold the line, if you're able to actually just run it through, okay, and be consistent on yourself, okay, that is probably the greatest element. And I think that that's also the greatest asset that any leader brings to the table. Now, we go through adversities, whether it's a financial loss, whether it's a loved one that passes away, or whether it's all kinds of adversities. We have setbacks in our studying, in our school, whether you're in college, you have setbacks in financial setbacks or career setbacks because you're so tied to a job. It's hard to overcome it. And at any other time, we're going through anger, we're going through lack of acceptance. We don't want to accept the situation, right? And we go through maybe denial, and we are feeling all these kind of like, and sometimes it's exhilarating because we're no longer tied in to that particular item. It doesn't define who I am. That's sometimes an exhilarating feeling. And this is all happening sometimes at the same time. So it's okay for all these feelings to all coexist inside yourself. And I could relate back to you some of my biggest adversities in life. And one of them was when I had a tremendous financial loss on a particular trade. And I remember thinking, coming out, and I was so disconnected, I was so numb. I really was walking, but I didn't feel my walking. I don't know if I could describe this. There's no better way for me really to describe it besides that. And you're just so disconnected because you don't want to accept the situation. And I remember at one particular situation, I saw some family friends and I saw some of my family, and I was just about to see them, and they didn't know what I just had gone through. And I wasn't looking to share it. I wasn't looking to unload, but I was looking at them as, wow, their life is just the same as it was yesterday or the day before, but my life has been changed tremendously from the last time that I saw them. And I remember going through this thought of, wow, you know, I'm holding this to myself and they don't even know what's going on. And it's like a personalized situation. It's something that we all have to go through. But as you go through it, this is really the question you should be asking yourself. What now? What now? Like, at the end of the day, it happened and you can't change it. And mentally strong people, one of the things that they don't do, they don't try to control, and they realize there are things that they can control in life, things that they can't. But the things that you can at the moment, what now? Now, a particular story that comes to mind was, if you remember back in 2009, where we had the credit crunch crisis and the US markets came apart. Shortly afterwards, the breakdown of Bernie Madoff, which was one of the most respected names on Wall Street, who had crazy returns for his clients, and it came out to be that it was completely a Ponzi scheme. Now, this has probably been, in the history of mankind, probably the biggest scam that ever existed, okay? Both in its financial success and both because it was pulled off under the radar and literally under the eyes of all the regulations, all the credit ratings, and it was just like unreal that something like that should happen. But there was one story that stood out. There was this particular person who lost their entire savings. I think it was $5 million or $10 million, whatever it was. And as a result of it, this person actually went back to work, and she decided to write books and get back into it. And she wrote books, and she wrote a bestseller within that year. And so if you look at her life from year to year, there was no change. She had made back that money within a year of her losing it. But look at the irony of it. Had she not lost the money, all these people that benefited from her writing would not have been entertained by this particular person. So in essence, she accepted her situation. She got back to work. She did whatever she was good at, and she published it, and financially she was successful. But the real success was that she asked herself in the moment, what now? What now could I salvage to make it the best situation in that particular situation? Now, I'm not saying you could ever change this. I'm not saying that this is always a silver lining. End of story is always, is a happy ending. But the question that still you need to ask at any given time is what now? Even if you don't have that happy ending, if you ask yourself, what now and what could I do now in order to make this situation particularly successful, you've conquered yourself. You've conquered that adversity. And it happens in a process. It's not something that happens overnight. And you do have to share it with yourself. It's something that is inner work, not outer work. But this is the thing. You do inner work, you affect the outside world. Thank you for joining me for this Motivational Mondays. We'll see you here next week.